What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. So in today's video, I want to talk about my art journey, how I started out making art in the beginning of my life and how it got me to where I am now. So I started drawing when I was around 5 years old, 4 to 5 years old. Growing up, I really loved cartoons and I was fascinated by hand-drawn animations. So I grew up watching like The Lion King and all the Disney movies and other cartoons of that era in the early 90s. And I wanted to be an animator when I was young. I thought that would be a really cool job, like drawing these handmade cartoons. When I was young, I drew all the time throughout the years, all the way through high school. You know, on and off when I was younger and a teenager, there was times where I'd become more interested in drawing and I would draw a lot and then I would stop or just focus on other things in my life, you know, playing outside or going to school, playing video games, hanging out with friends. I did a lot of other stuff, but I stuck with drawing throughout those years. And then once I got to high school, I ended up taking art classes in middle school and in high school, but I rarely enjoyed them. I didn't really enjoy taking these classes. Even though I felt like I was good at drawing, my art projects from these art classes were always terrible, at least for the most part, because I just wasn't passionate about the assignments that they gave. Some of the assignments would always do like painting, acrylic painting, or watercolor or something, but they never really taught us how to use it properly, and we didn't really have high quality or even good quality materials. They were always very low quality, very cheap. So all the outcomes of the art was just terrible. I didn't know what I was doing. So I ended up going to college, and I did better in college. I took a drawing class. One of the first classes I took in college was a drawing class, and I took graphic design in college, but one of the classes to take was a drawing class. And I did a lot better in that class. I learned a little bit. For some of the assignments, I had kind of the top drawing in the class. It was a small class, only about 10 or 12 people. So you could just kind of judge and see who had the best drawing, and we would critique each other's in front of the whole class. So it was kind of clear. Sometimes I would have the best drawing. So I felt good about that. It really helped me a lot with my confidence with drawing. And then 1 or 2 years later in college, I took a color and composition class. And in this class, we experimented a little bit with painting. So I tried a watercolor painting and then an acrylic painting. This was the first time where I tried them very seriously. And I found out that I really enjoyed watercolor painting. So while finishing kind of my first 2 years of college, I started painting watercolors, and I painted with watercolors for about 1 year. And at this time, I thought I wanted to be an illustrator. I thought I wanted to draw graphic novels or some kind of illustrations for books, children books, or some kind of stories. I just wanted to illustrate, and I wanted to use pen and ink and watercolor. So I did this for about a year, experimenting with watercolors. And then eventually I just felt unsatisfied with watercolor. I just felt like I wasn't getting strong enough colors. I wanted something more bold. So I ended up trying acrylic painting. I began acrylic painting, and this is where my love for painting really jumped out to me. And I began painting with acrylics for the next 4 years. I painted with acrylics exclusively. Kind of gave up watercolors, started using canvas and acrylic painting, and really enjoyed myself. Really learned how to paint and how to improve my skills. And then after a while, I kind of got frustrated with acrylics about 4 years in. And this was back in 2015. I kind of got annoyed with acrylics because I felt like they just were stopping me from increasing my quality that I wanted to achieve. You know, I was going to museums and seeing these really great master paintings and portraits and stuff like John Singer Sargent, a lot of his portraits, and Monet landscape oil paintings. And then I decided to try oil painting, and I switched to oil painting. Once I tried it, I didn't look back, quit acrylic painting, and I stuck with oil painting for about 4 years. So I stopped. I did oil painting from 2015 to 2019, and in this time, I started traveling in 2018, and I did some plein air painting in Alaska, and I decided to use watercolors and a watercolor sketchbook for my plein air paintings because it was just too difficult to travel with oil paints. With the flights and just so much materials and stuff, I didn't want to bring all that. I wanted to be very simple, so my solution was watercolors. Very minimal watercolor setup. I began painting with watercolors again in 2018 after 3 years of oil painting. And then I mostly used watercolors for plein air painting only. And then starting in 2020, I started using only watercolors again. So I kind of gave up oil painting. I just wanted to simplify everything. I went back to watercolors. I really loved watercolors and painting outside, doing plein air paintings. And then I started doing some watercolors in the studio as well when I could. But I really loved watercolors. And what I was able to achieve with them, I really improved my skills from 10 years previously when I was doing watercolor for the first time for 1 year. So 10 years later, I began using watercolors exclusively again. And this was back to where I began. And then in 2019, I began using pen and ink as well, separately. So I've been doing pen and ink drawings, and then I've been doing watercolor painting. And this kind of really changed my outlook of how I create art. And this is what I've been doing for the past few years now. I've just been doing pen and ink sketches in a sketchbook and doing plein air watercolors, and sometimes painting in the studio as well. And then sometimes I do mix them. Sometimes I'll add watercolor to the pen and ink drawings in the sketchbook, or sometimes I'll do a watercolor painting and then do pen and ink over top of it. Eventually, you know, I'm just constantly pushing myself to experiment, try new things. I think with my plein air paintings, eventually I'll probably start doing pen and ink and do more of like a travel sketching kind of vibe to them. I'm not sure, but it's something I want to explore and experiment with. And I don't know where this is going to take me in the future. You know, I've had an interesting past, a lot of different things going on, experimenting with acrylics and watercolor and oil painting and graphite drawing, charcoal drawing. But my love for drawing is really pen and ink, I found. Even though I was afraid of it for many years and I didn't like it, I thought I wouldn't like it. It's become my main thing now. And same with watercolors as well. I didn't really think I would ever return to them, but this is where I'm at right now. And I really love where I'm at, and we will see where I end up going after this. So that's been my journey so far. So I'd love to hear from you guys. What has your journey been like? And I hope this video helped you, inspired you to just keep experimenting and go with the flow. You know, you don't have to stick with one thing all the time. You can constantly experiment and try new things. And you never know. That's the thing, is like, you never know if it's going to be something you'll enjoy. Like pen and ink, when I first tried them, the first few drawings I did kind of sucked, but then I kept going a little bit, and then I found this one style, I found this way, certain kind of pens that I like to use, and it really changed my entire way that I create art. And now I've been using pen and ink for many years now, and there's no sign of quitting. I really love pen and ink. So it's really crazy how your journey can kind of evolve over time, in your art, and the materials that you use kind of play a big part in that. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care of yourself. Peace, my friends.